Thank you. So I'm Brad Park, and VP of Mobile Communication Business Department. And I've been leading Bixby core engine development from the beginning, and then I'm working for next version of Bixby. So today, I'm talking about what was our goal, and what will be our challenge, and what's going to be our future. But most importantly, I want to give you some encourage actually for you to work together as one single platform as an AI strategy. So before I start, actually, I want to check please allow me to check the audience group so to present better. So is anyone a developer or developer manager? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, thank you. And is anyone who product managers or product owner or who in charge of all the designs? Okay. I can see some people raise their hand twice. So that means actually maybe startup. So whoever doesn't raise a hand, probably my friends that I asked to come last night, or someone who got the free ticket to the SDC and has no idea why they are here. But anyway, regardless of the reason, actually today I'm gonna present today of the Samsung strategy for the AI, and also tomorrow, what's gonna be like. So I hope you guys see the glimpse of the greater future of the Samsung software, hardware strategy around the Bixby. So this is more like recap from our keynote and our vision. We start from the mobile. So as you probably Galaxy user, you already use the Bixby. So Bixby, we call it 1.0, is innovative way to communicate mobile. So we really focus on the interface and try to figure out what is the best way to embed voice assistant and interface into our system. And then, but Bixby 2.0 is actually, we see the greater futures. So I really want to present this as a three-dimensional axis. One axis is device, and the other is languages, and the other is services. But we're still working on it. So today, we just presenting this way. So we have as you know, Samsung has a lot of devices, right? And also Samsung is already a global company. So we are pretty much ready for the global expansion. And also we have some solution that we actually really focus on this across all sessions in our SDC. We have some solution for providing more services into our ecosystem. So we're going to talk about these three things together. So our principle, this is also another recap from our keynotes. Bixby is ubiquitous. So it's just not designed for a single device. It's from the beginning, many things are based on our cloud. So it will be designed to be available on any and all devices. This means that intelligence of Bixby acts as just one center of your device ecosystem. So, Samsung, as you know, we have mobile and television and fridge, and we also have cars. So we acquired Harman last year, and there are a lot of other devices. Maybe everyone maybe doesn't have the Galaxy devices here, but at least one Samsung device at home, I'm pretty sure. And also, second principle is personal. So we're not going to make globally just one single big gigantic platform for everyone. We're going to personalize for you. Right? And also, the Bixby system platform is open. So it's open to the developers. And so we try to invite developers to work together to make the Bixby better. So today's agenda is we're going to talk about what is Bixby 1.0 first, and what was the challenge next, and then we're going to present what's going to be like Bixby 2.0 and future. So this is a very brief summary of the Bixby 1.0. What is really different from other competitors? So we actually start everything from scratch, and then we rethink everything from the beginning. So we not really kind of look at any other the competitor. We just rethink everything. The first thing, Bigsby can talk. So this is voice feature, but not just talk. We think that some feature is very useful when you say it, but some feature still people want to touch it. For instance, you want to stretch and rotate the pictures. You don't want to say it, right? Rotate picture 30 degrees. That's too much, right? So we design in a way that people can say it sometimes, but Bixby remembers and knows the current context. So you can touch from that point, and then sometimes also you can finalize your comments with the voice. So we don't limit how you can use Bixby. And then also Bixby can see. So currently Bixby camera, actually Galaxy camera, is not just camera anymore. So we actually extract information out of it. Also Bixby can recommend. So we not just list all the features and let them use it, because there are so many features already, right? So we recommend what to do and what is best experience at any moment. We can recommend much better. I can get to more detail later. And also Bixby can remind. So sometimes you want to do something in one place, but sometimes you want to do action in other place or other time. So, but you don't want to remember it, right? So, but you can tell Bixby when it's needed. So you can trigger some action at certain place. For instance, you can turn on Wi-Fi, for example, at home. Then you can simply remind, turn on the Wi-Fi at home. That's fairly easy. So this is another more detail that how Bixby is different, especially focusing on the Bixby voice. So multimodality, already I mentioned it. So this is just a good example. And find the umbrella photo, right? It'll find photo really fast from your gallery. And then you want to change it. Maybe you can change your, using your touch interface. And then you want to use voice again, right? So post it on our SNS. You can say. So this is possible because Bixby remembers all the context, and it doesn't really go out of the context from your commands. So we've been first movers of this approach, and then I heard that other competitors also want to do very similar things later on. Comprehensiveness. So since we didn't know what really user wants to use as a voice or touch, so we did a very simple thing. Why don't we just make everything in the voice first, and then figure out what the user wants? Right? So we did it. We did it in Bixby 1.0. So people can say anything, and we, using big data system, we actually collect all the useful features that people actually use day to day. So now we're going to focus on improving those useful things. But this list is really golden list. Nobody has it because nobody made all the feature in the voice yet, right? But we did. And cognitive tolerance. Sometimes people say something missing some important parameters. So send a message for it in this example. So you just omit maybe messages or even recipient. So Bixby continue to ask back to the users until it completes the comments. Frictionless. Also, Galaxy, as you know, is the first mobile phone that has dedicated voice assistant button. So it's very easy to access, and also the site, the position seems to be pretty working fine. So other also competitor wants to do that way. And another frictionless is also we stitch many features into voice command. So you can trigger really the deep level of the UI interface into one voice. So just think about how much, the step you would click on the checking, Wi-Fi data usage in setting. But we can just do it in one command. So after done, we launched Bigsby in Korea, May 1st, and July 18 in the US, and August 22nd to global. So global means actually English in global. And to do that, actually, we work on some different accent across other countries. That include US, India, Spain, Canada, Korea, UK, and Canada, Australia. So you don't really ask, where you're from. Actually, Bigsby is actually figuring out from your accent. So, as I said earlier, we already have multiple devices, which we are much ahead of any other competitors. And then also we are much ahead of, the worldwide, offices as well. But the problem is actually, how can we expand the services much quicker, since we are pretty much late, starter from other competitors. And also, others already have some, SDK out there. So, and we can actually work on some, the big partners, right? So we already have some CP, third-party services integrated onto Bigsby. But the problem is actually, it's different from people to people. Some people use, some apps because of maybe it's related to their job. Or some people is very into some fandom. So they like some TV shows or something like that. And also some people have same interest group, so they want to communicate through a certain app every day. So to do that, actually, it's very difficult to do, as a only developer by Samsung, right? So we need some help, or we need some ecosystem to grow itself. So this is just an example of some challenge. This is also very good use cases, right? When they play cello, they have no hands to operate the cell phone, so they can just want to start metronome at 90 BPM. So you can do it as long as this app supports voice. Right? Also, fandom, give me trivia quiz from Game of Thrones. Yeah, we can use a real name, so we'll work on it. This. So anyway, this quiz also very useful when you watch the TV, right? Actually we can recommend some apps on TV when they're watching a certain famous, the soap opera. Also, same interest group, change destination to Bixby Bridge and share with my own awesome bike team. So they have some small group of bike team, and they use very small apps. So if we support this small app, that's too much for us. So we redesign and develop how to integrate this ecosystem much easier. So that's why we come up with the Bixby 2.0 idea. So we already have Bixby voice assistant that supports some devices. Currently S8 and Note 8, and we support some CP, maybe Facebook and others. Now we introduce Bixby SDK. So we're gonna make the dev portals and SDK and maybe some sample codes available. And then also we do have a big data system that collect all the usage data and user pattern to help the developers. So it'll piggyback to SDK developers so they can get some help. And just think about how much the user the usage pattern developer can get out of Samsung. You're not just getting the cell phone information. You can get all the other device the usage pattern as well. And also there comes the personalization. So we're gonna personalize and improve our assistant. So by this is also not just one-time work. So it'll continue to do in this cycle and keep improving. Right? So in this way, we're going to add more and more devices, and also we're going to add more and more third-party content provider CP. So this is what we call the Bigsby platform. So it's not just voice assistant anymore. It'll be just big picture that includes SDK, analytics, personalization, and everything. So we're gonna work on the actually pictures, but our staff has actually did a great effort to make this in a picture. So this is not just we're gonna build some gigantic ecosystem only for the Samsung. We really want to grow together, right? So we want to make some sort of a big party in the CP. And the reason we can get really benefit out of this is I can describe more detail later. But having many CP in one place, and it really leverage for each developer as well, not just for the Samsung. So Samsung just merely just help to the developers and improve our platform, of course. But also, we want to really grow together with the other content provider. So one benefit, this is an example. Once we use or developer use the Samsung SDK, they can avoid any duplicating work for the many devices, because the SDK will abstract all the common feature for us, right? So supporting multi-device in the the features is very hard, and even operating systems are different, right? So that's going to be very painful, but we abstract everything, not everything. Maybe some device-specific feature we can still leave it there, but most of voice, core feature we're going to abstract to the cloud, and then we can support through our SDK. So you can take a more break, and you can programming under the beach, I guess. So another big benefit, Samsung has a lot of device exposure already to the users. So as I said earlier, we're going to get the more user feedback out of it. So we talked about platform. Platform is very important. So we start from the 1.0, and 2.0 is platform is very important. Once platform is built, ecosystem is also even more important and more valuable, right? But actually, what I can see as user feedback is much, much more valuable. So once you build the ecosystem, you will get a lot of user feedbacks. Maybe it can be good or can be bad. Even maybe bad feedback is more important for us. So this is the right side of picture is one example. So some people say, can you buy 2 cents concert? Our NLU maybe wasn't ready for this. So we just think that 2 cents is just price. So no way to find, we answer, right? As you know, 2 cents is a band name. So many, actually young generation goes thumbs down. Hey, Bixby is stupid, right? And you need to correct this. So we have some teach me button. If you already use Bixby, we already have that button. And then, we collect this kind of user feedback automatically and figure out what we did wrong. And then we actually automatically put every, the mismatch or the malfunction into our, the bunch of queues, and our developers actually fix every day. And once it's fixed, it's just not manual fixing. And once fixed, it's automatically trained, and it'll just improve. Not just only particular this issue, but even bigger issue. So next time they try the same command, then actually we launch the app and extract 2 cents as a band name correctly. And also the last slide, we're going to personalize this. So this is very important, and many people have maybe have some common interest, but actually sometimes not. So some people have some strong interest in music, Some people are very interested in other features, maybe some basic feature, phone functionality. Some people maybe just use phone for the communication or commute. So they could just use a navigation, right? So in this way, they can, we can improve user experience by recommending some domain or some maybe the enhanced accuracy for each domain by looking at their usage pattern. And then further, we already have a quick command in place. So quick command is, you can think it as user can create any utterance in their devices and then map to other function. Not just single function, maybe multiple as well. So in this example, maybe this user always turn on Bluetooth and play some music, maybe some playlist, and maybe turn on GPS, and maybe direction is drive to home, right? So this sequence may be very typical for every time they go home. Then you can edit your quick command as a quick go home, and then put all the commands underneath like this. And then this is just one-time setup, right? The next time you just hop on your car and say go home, everything's happening in sequence. So this example is just our scenario, but just think it as any scenario, right? So any CP, maybe they want to control some phone functionality, but because they can. So for instance, like maybe Instagram, and they want to make some download the latest picture out of their the Instagram, and then they want to choose this as a wallpaper, right? And the setting wallpaper is actually the Samsung's command, but maybe they cannot utilize it, but using this quick command, user can set it up, download latest picture from Instagram and set it a wallpaper. They can do that. So all the mixture of the the greater experience with the many third party can doable through the quick commands and all the personalized assistant features later. So this is a pretty overview, but also we do have other detailed session. So first session is led by the Untitled. He's our PM, and also the second session is led by KG Wu. He's actually principal engineers who architect our NLU for Bixby 1.0. So you can get to more detail. So maybe PM group in our audience can go to PM session, or some developer wants to maybe go to the second session, I think. So this is my presentation, and I bet you guys have more questions, I guess. So I just put more time on the question, I think. Okay.
Hi, Rick Merritt from EE Times. I have a question about the underlying hardware underneath Bixby, particularly about accelerators, which are so popular now for machine learning. So can you tell me, is Bixby based on what we think of now, I guess, as traditional deep neural networks where there's training and inference? And if so, can you talk a little bit about the hardware and any needs that you see for accelerators, since many different kinds of systems will be using this?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I can share under the architecture, but yeah, we use the machine learnings and deep learnings and using some big data to improve our system, and also we use a lot of latest algorithm to enhance our ASL and our NLU and others. And in terms of hardware, we try to avoid any hardware dependency as much as possible. So we do have some client layer, and which abstract all the client specific features. And server side actually is just a single platform. So one platform can handle every devices. Yep. Or Chai can give you a microphone, I guess.
Okay, so my question was, we talked, or my ears perked up during the keynote when they mentioned that Bigsby was going to be personalized for different people. Now, besides the fact that your home and my home are different, and your mom and my mom are different, and those kinds of simple variations, is there anything in terms of how you're going to be customizing personalities tailored towards people such that the experience of interacting with Bigsby is authentically different from person to person?
Mm-hmm. So there are, a lot of ways, to do that, and we already actually implement many of parts that try to understand your the phone usage pattern, and then actually it's completely personal. Don't worry about it, and Bigsby never use this information for any other purpose, just to improve the Bigsby experience. And we know, when you usually want actually execute some apps, and and what kind of app actually you are using, and those information is very useful. Also, any commands, right? And that actually, that shows a lot of information too. Somebody use message a lot of time, or somebody just play the music a lot of times. And even when you play the music, also we know the genre that you like. And also we know when you actually come home and when you go to work as well, right? So the AI assistant that pursue personalization, we actually in very good position because we have more control on the device, and we can personalize as much as possible.
Hi, my question is whether Bigsby will be integrated with the third-party developer apps, or if it is, then what kind of mechanism we will be able to integrate?
We probably have a more detailed session about it, but it's just you can think it's just SDK, right? And then also you can train with your own utterance. So there is no such limit, but we may introduce some policy that maybe anything that totally irrelevant to your features, but you try to map it, and then maybe there might be some policy to maybe control it. For instance, like show me the best restaurant. Actually, you take that utterance, but actually shows the maybe your comic books that you want to sell. That's actually totally ruin the user experience, right? So there must be some very basic fundamental policy. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have it, but except that actually it's pretty open platform. So anything that is possible.
Thank you.
That's okay. Again, on hardware, what devices will Bixby 2 be available on?
Oh, sure. So Bixby 2.0, it'll be available the Galaxy phone, of course, and television, and the car, and fridge, and some potentially speaker that everyone talking about. But that is just on the line. So.
What I meant was processors. What processors or operating systems will it be available on? Right now, it only runs on the Snapdragon and Android. So what processors?
Oh yes, like I said before, device processor is not that important. So because many Bixby features is already in the cloud. So anything that runs on Tizen or the Android platform, we will support. And some operating system that QNX, the Harman, the dashboards, the operating system also we're gonna support too.
I have another question. In the keynote today, we heard about the vision, like Bigsby vision. So will the Bigsby vision will have the OCR capabilities?
Bixby vision meaning the the intelligence vision or?
Yeah, the vision where it is reading the text.
Huh?
Where it is reading the text.
Actually, Bixby vision is not just my particular area. I'm more working for the Bixby voice. Probably there might be other session you can ask. Yeah.
Yeah, Bixby 2.0 is an open source, right? That's shared in the keynote. So what is the degree of the openness? It's API is all on open, or the sources?
API
What's the
will be
level? Or only the API is on open?
And some sample code as well.
Okay, not at the source, unlike any other open source AI system?
Not likely, yeah.
Okay. And when it's available for the developer? Only for the partners, or it's available for the Samsung, other groups who willing to work on the Bixby SDK?
It's totally, completely open to any developers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When do you expect to release 2.0?
2.0 is sometime Q3, between Q3 and Q4 in the next year.
2014. 2018.
2018, yeah.
In terms of other languages, specifically Spanish?
Yeah, Spanish, we're going to work on it. So Spanish is one of the top the line in terms of our language expansion.
Can you elaborate what languages when?
Yeah, this is not a really commitment, but you know, we actually work on Chinese and some major European languages, 4 or 5 next year.
Hi, Dave from BBC News. I'm curious to know whether you feel that Google's given you a level playing field on Android, or whether the Google Assistant has more access to certain functionality, certain data that you won't get as when you're creating Bixby. Is there anything that you feel Google could be doing to help level the playing field between what Bixby can do and what Google Assistant is able to do?
I actually missed the last part.
I just wondered, is Android a level playing field for Bixby and Google Assistant, or does Google's Assistant, because it's so baked into Android, have more access to certain functions, certain pieces of data? How does that shape up?
So we don't have to be really compete against the Google Assistant. We can work together, and some features are actually we share at this moment. And I don't think having a two, the assistant is it's just like having a two maybe map app in same phone. So user can choose for their purpose. And our advantage, like I said before, we made a device, so we can control device much better. And then using this completely new open platform, hopefully we can invite more developers, because of developers who expect the release their service into the many devices, right? They can do much easier with Samsung, and then we can have some more advantage. But we're not really necessarily competing with other assistant. We can maybe invite other assistant as kind of as our sidekick.
So in terms of the, let's say, speech recognition and speech, I guess, response back capabilities, with one end of the spectrum being full conversational AI and the other, being just simple keyword, where would you say that Bigsby 2.0 is going to be on that scale?
Yeah, so we will more towards the more conversational, the AI assistant.
But can you give a sense of kind of where you think it's going to land?
So, currently we are doing some, minimal conversation features. Like I said, missing parameter filling or some anaphoto support. already implemented, but actually we want to do beyond that. So, so for instance, if you look at something and then maybe, or maybe you ask for weather and then you can ask like, how about other place, right? So that kind of context is fully we built as an ontology, and then you can continue to do other things out of the current context. That's how we're gonna support. So it'll be more conversational.
Yeah, Kari Johnson with VentureBeat. On stage, Dag mentioned different kinds of, quote me exactly, I don't recall the exact words, it's something along the lines of just different monetization strategies for developers. Could you, with 2.0, could you talk a bit more about that?
That's more open, strategy. So we may have some modification in the future, but obviously we try to help the service provider to be discovered much better to the users, right? So I think this is totally new paradigm. Ever since we built the search engine. Search engine is one of very similar kind of services, right? So you user find something, and then we bring up some relevant the site for them. But voice assistant is much actually user friendly and much closer to the real human activity. So we can probably monetize it later if we discover some relevant user service much better out of the voice assistant. But we're not really limiting a certain way to do it, but we probably figure out a much better way without bringing in many conflict between Samsung and our partners. We will think as partners as our Bixby developers, right? So Bixby, the third-party services should grow as we grow together. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Hi, you commented the Bixby will be available in a Galaxy TV, car, fridge, some other appliance. So but in Keynote, they're available in TV in 2018, but they doesn't comment the fridge or car and any other thing. So if you know the schedule to be available.
Oh, okay.
Please tell me.
So whenever I come to, I'm going to be completely honest here. So whenever I go to other place, like some maybe European offices, and they actually asking, when can you do this? When can you do that? And we, we have actually work to do, and we can't just leave current Bixby and then jump onto the other device and other experience, right? So we actually make them grow all together. So sometimes we want to do something earlier, but actually schedule may change. So our strategy is actually making one experience perfect, and then move on to other device, right? So television is just one example, and which is slightly different from TV because you cannot touch, right? And the context we think as a mobile is slightly different to TV. So we're going to work on that, improve, and make a perfect quality out of it. And then fridge is also we call it family hub as also some screen, and it's also has some touch interface. But the user experience probably may be quite different. So we don't want to just work concurrently, TV and fridge and even laundry machine that doesn't have screens and just have microphone, right? So if we just work together, everything together, we could, but then we may not achieve the best quality out of it. So that's why we want to make the television experience first and perfect, and then move on to a fridge. But hopefully we can do it faster, so that we can bring it maybe within the next year. So that's why I cannot just commit which month and which date we can deliver the fridge.
is available in next year, 2018.
I'm sorry? I can't.
Sorry. Can we use Bixby on Fridge in 2018?
We are targeting to. That's
you.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Hi, question for you. In terms of personalization, you're talking about all these different devices, TVs, and then mobile phones and refrigerators. What is the approach that you're thinking of with Bixby 2.0 that is allowing us, to still personalize, but included in that ecosystem are shared devices like a TV? Mm-hmm. Are you looking toward voice recognition of some sort to identify the person as a different user?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we are trying to very hard at how to, before we get to that, actually, people don't log into the TVs. That's a bigger problem, right? So many people use some TV and fridges very anonymous way. So we need to work on that first, how to encourage people to use real ID. And the second issue is that it's still shared device, so we need to identify users. So once they sign up, actually it's there might be a lot of way to recognize this device is actually used by someone. But still, even if I operate television for myself, and we know maybe phone that I connected to is logging as me, so maybe I can personalize TV through my context. But actually still, maybe my wife or my kids actually watching TV together, so that how can we, actually also, I just happen to pick up the remote controller, so I'm not the one actually choose watch the TV. So how can we solve this problem? It's a very difficult problem, and we are working on how to improve this analytics out of a lot of data. So only a lot of data can solve this problem. So we can actually check the pattern. For instance, like even if I touch the remote controller, but actually I just turn on maybe kids animation for them, and then I just left, right? And then using that information, I rarely watch maybe animation in my cell phone in Netflix, for instance, right? Then we can think it as noise. Okay, so maybe this is not relevant to this user, so we're not using this information for training. So there are a lot of heuristic case by case, but until we have a complete hardware solution, like maybe fingerprint on the remote controller, or complete the accuracy of the voice recognition, we can use this kind of data approach. I think that's much accurate response, I think.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So is Bixby going to have some kind of integration with Samsung Pay where a user can add a card to the wallet or choose as a default card?
Absolutely. It's already built. You can use Bixby like pay by Irish. It's already just do it at once. So I call it this kind of three USP, just one single shop, right? Bixby and Samsung Pay and iris scanner, all Samsung can do, right, in just one command. We already doing it, and if I say this in restaurant and people just watching me, what this guy is doing, and then I just pay. Okay. It's already implemented, and also all those third party, can integrate our payment system into theirs, so that you guys don't need to actually implement, your own payment. If it's a very small business, kind of integrating payment system also really painful, right? But we're going to provide all the payment integration as well, so you can pay through maybe Samsung Pay for your service.
Thanks, Brad, for your time. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you.